You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth. Hey my Rebel friends. Right, this week we're talking about covert contracts, but just before we do, if you haven't got yourself on the Rebel Weekly, I'd love to see you on there. So each week, every Monday, I send out an email with a poem or a kind of reflection or a mini essay or something to kind of give you a pointer as to what we're exploring this week on the podcast, but also to just bring some value as separate to that. So I'd just love to have you on there. So if you click the link in the show notes to join the Rebel Weekly, just put your email in. And I'd love to see you there. All right, team, I'll hand you over to me. See you there. Okay, hey Rebels, we're going to talk about covert contracts today and whether you're running any and you haven't known about it. It's been so covert that it was covert even to you. So what do I mean by a covert contract? A covert contract is an unspoken agreement between ourselves and somebody else where it kind of fits this pattern. If I do X, you will do Y, right? So for example, something that's quite common around this, something that I used to think a lot is like, if I'm really kind, if I'm really nice, then this person will like me, right? And particularly in the dating scene and those kinds of things, this stuff can be really common, right? That's definitely something that I used to think. I used to think, I'd just be a nice guy, and then the right people will like me, for example, right? And it was very subtle, not necessarily a particularly kind of, not as toxic as some things can be. Obviously being nice, there's far worse things that we could be up to, right? But it still confused me when I went through those patterns and people didn't do the things that I expected of them, right? So an unmet or an unspoken expectation. And I felt pain from that, emotional pain, right? And what it often stopped me from doing was actually just speaking from my heart, from telling somebody that I really liked them, right? Just saying, like, I really like you. I'd really like us to go on a date. I'd like us to hang out or whatever it might be. Running that covert contract got sticky for me. And then I was trying to figure out, why are these things not happening? What's wrong with me? These kinds of games that we can play. Now, I mentioned the word games there, and I think it's an important thing. We do play a lot of games, and a lot of them are beneath the surface. Some of them conscious, some of them not so conscious. But I think it's really worth us becoming aware of the things that we do, the games that we play, the ways in which we have these covert contracts running in our life. So it's worth reflecting in your relationships, particularly in your close relationships, perhaps with your partner. Are there covert contracts running? Is there that part of you that says, okay, so I'm going to do the washing up, and because of that, this person is going to do X, Y, Z? And do they have any knowledge of it, right? Have you actually communicated to this person the thing that you would love to have happen? What is it, the thing that you'd love to do? Right. And I think, there's these kind of classic things around, men will never understand women and women will never understand men. But a lot of the time, I think what we're up to is we have these kind of these books on each other, right? These kinds of expectations of this person that we haven't aired, or the ways in which if I do this, then you should do that. It works the other way round, right? So if I cook you dinner, then you should cook me dinner tomorrow. Right? And we take for granted that a lot of the stuff that's in our head is in other people's heads. We take it as given that they know what is going on. We think what's going on in our head is going on in their head. But the truth of the matter is, it's not. People don't have access to our inner workings. People don't have access to our internal thoughts. Even if we've been someone for so long that we can seemingly finish each other's sentences, there's a whole world in there. There's a whole world in there. When we look out at the world, when you look out at someone and you have their image of them and you relate to that image as if that is them, how could it possibly be? Anyone from their perspective who's looking at you, do you think they have a full read of everything that's going on? Are there things that you're still working to be able to share with people that you love, with your friends, with your family? Are there things that you've tucked away? These things are true for every single one of us, right? And we're all doing what makes sense to us based on our current level of understanding with the thinking that looks real to us. That's what Sid used to say, Sid Banks. And Yeah. So we can take a lot of the fuckery, if you like, out of our relationships by having a look to see if we're playing any games, having a look to see if we're running any covert contracts. And it's okay. No judgment on yourself if you realize that you are. These things are very common. They're often learned. They're conditioned, right? Or perhaps we went through an experience that was difficult, and so we created a covert contract. We created expectations of other people so that we didn't have to feel a certain way or something like that, right? It's no judgment on that. It's more awareness, self-love, compassion, and release of these things. And you may very well find, like I and many other people have, that your relationships start to change in front of your very eyes as you get more access to these things. You have an amazing week. I'll see you soon.